Hey, what's up guys, Garden here, coming to you guys with a video today showcasing to you my 2013 Gold Paladin Liberator deck. So yeah, we are going to be leaping back in time to pretty much one of my favourite eras in Vanguard, which was the Break Ride era. So yeah, really excited to show you guys this deck because it means a lot to me, so I really hope you enjoy it. So without further ado, we shall jump right into this, and I thought I'd showcase to you my old deck box that I had back then, which is very cool, and my old sleeves as well that I got back then, which matches the deck box. So yeah, let's get stuck right into this deck. A lot of nostalgia to be had here. So first of all, we have Liberator, Monarch, Sanctuary, Alfred. Yeah, the big guy himself. This was the unit that I actually used to defeat Link Joker at the end of the season, which is really, really cool. LB5 was when you brought Blaster Blade Liberator up from your deck to rear guard circle. You got 10,000 power and a crit, which was very, very cool. Now, you will see one thing in this deck is that I built this deck to be very anime focused. I wanted to include a lot of the units that I actually used during the season. And yeah, so at the minute, we are going to be starting off with the one Alfred. So we shall put him right up here in the corner, because we have a lot more units to get stuck into here. So next we have 2 copies of the original Liberator of the Round Table Alfred. Yeah, releg the foil pattern on this. This is the foil pattern that they used in this set, BT10. Triumphant Return of the King of Knights. And the King of Knights did return. His LB4 was very similar to his old school ability, where he gets 2,000 power for each rearguard you control with Liberator in the card name, which is very nice. And yeah, his other skill, which isn't Limit Break, which was just Counterblast 2 Liberators to look at the top card of your deck, and if it's a Gold Paladin, call it to rearguard circle. So yeah, kind of like Ezel's ability from Limit Break era, but yeah, just you don't get the power increase, that's all. But very, very cool. So I wanted to put 2 of him in this deck at least, just to go with the Monarch Alfred. So 2 and 1 felt good for Alfred. Next, we have the fellow, the loyal Liberator of Bonds, Gancelot Zenith. So this was the cross ride of Gancelot for Liberators, and he's pretty cool. Really love his art as well. Very, very cool artwork. Looks very, very boss, if you ask me. But yeah, he was the cross ride, so if you have a Solidarity Liberator Gancelot in your soul, he gets 2,000 power permanently, so it becomes a 13k base, which is very cool. So I'm playing 1 of him, and his Limit Break, long story short, is essentially you can put a Liberator back to the bottom to look at the top one, call it, and then give it 10k power. So it gave you an additional attack that turn, which is pretty nice. And also the 10k power pretty much helped you make sure that that unit that you called did something, you know, did something usable at the very least, whether it's boosting or getting an additional attack off. So, of course, with running the cross ride, we have to run the regular version, Solidarity Liberator, Gancelot. And yeah, he was our break ride for Liberators. So, LB4, so Limit Break, when your Gold Paladin rides on this unit, choose your Vanguard, and that unit gets 10,000 power till the end of turn. Then also, you choose up to 3 of your Gold Paladin rearguards, and those units get 5,000 power until the end of turn. So he's kind of like Soul Saver Dragon, the old school Soul Saver. Giving 5k power to 3 of your rearguards, which is pretty cool. Pretty nice of an effect, but yeah, I felt like just playing 3 of him to go alongside the cross-ride version of Zenith, so that is that. And finally, for Grade 3, which is probably one of my favourite Grade 3s, is Wolffang Liberator Garmor. And yeah, if you guys haven't seen the episode, man, watch the episode. But the episode that actually uses Garmor is so cool. He's versing Naoki, and Naoki got corrupted by Link Joker, and Aichi is in such a terrible position. He's got like no cards in hand, no field, like he only has his Vanguard and that's it. And he top decks this, and his Limit Break, Garmor's Limit Break, is you counterblast 3 Liberators to look at the top card of your deck, and if it's a Gold Paladin, you call it to rearguard. And then you repeat this process until your entire field is filled up, essentially. So yeah, at the very most, he's going to +5 you really, really easily. And yeah, the fact that I remember back in the day when this card came out, you could actually make a very standard version of the Alfred and Ganslot build, or you could go with Garmor and use him as your first ride. And then once you got his Limit Break active, you then followed it up by calling Alfred on top of him, so that you had a full field to benefit Alfred's Limit Break to gain the 2000 power for each rearguard that you had. So yeah, very, very cool. And he's kind of similar in a way to Monarch Alfred, you know, calling stuff from the top of your deck. He doesn't unlock anything like Alfred does, but yeah, he's a cool one. And I definitely had to put one of him in the deck, definitely. So those are the grade 3s I am playing. So next we shall get stuck into our grade 2s. I'm just going to line them up a little bit better. There we go. So next we have the grade 2s. We of course have our avatar, Blaster Blade Liberator, and you might notice one of them is in SP, because these 3 came from the trial deck with the sort of sparkly foil, which is very nice. And I loved the fact that because Blaster Blade returned in this series because he got trapped in season 2, like he got sealed away by the void, and to see Blaster Blade come back, not only as a Gold Paladin and a Liberator, but with a cape. And I dig capes, you know, I think capes look cool. And all of these gold tints around his armor as well, even on the sword there and on the edging of the cape. Really, really cool. I was so happy with this artwork when I saw it. So we have the trial deck one there, and then this one here is the SP. And this one I actually pulled out of my booster box that I got for Christmas. Yeah, BT10. So it was a bit funny because when I got this card, I didn't think about looking down here, seeing that it was SP. I didn't look at that. I just thought, huh, I didn't know Blaster Blade was in the actual main booster set. And yeah, I just thought it was just an alternate rarity of him. You know, it's like, oh, cool, so you got like the double rare version of him, and then you got like a triple rare version of him. So I thought, oh, that's cool. But then afterwards I noticed, oh, wait, he's SP. And I thought, ooh. I thought, I wonder how much he is. And I remember looking on eBay at the time, and I think at the time, if I remember correctly, I think it was about a £50 card, which was pretty nice, you know, pretty nice. And I owned it as well, so I thought that was pretty cool. So, yeah, and I know what you're thinking, right? I know what you're thinking. You're thinking, wait a minute, why you got 4 Blaster Blades in here? I thought you mentioned this was like an anime deck sort of thing. Well, it is, but I don't have Aichi powers, and I can't ride Blaster Blade every game. So I wanted to put 4 of them in the deck because we don't only just have Alfred in the deck that uses Blaster Blade, but we also have other cards that work with him. So it made sense to run 4 of him, like, you know, to make sense generally, but also it's just more fun, you know, to try consistently ride the Blaster Blade as your grade 2, like Aichi. You know, I need the help to get, so I just put 4 of him in here to make things easier. And yeah, we'll show you some other cards as well that do utilize Blaster Blade Liberator. So, moving on, we have the 12k beat stick for Liberators, Fallon, Liberator of Royalty Fallon. So yeah, like I said, he is the 12k beat stick. If you have a Liberator Vanguard, when he attacks, he gains 3k power. And yeah, just very good. Since he can attack those Vanguards on his own without any boosters, which is very, very nice. So, moving on with the grade 2s. We have 2 copies of Escred. His skill is that when he attacks a Vanguard and hits it, you can Counterblast 1, Counterblast 1 Liberator, look at the top card of your deck. If it's a Gold Paladin, call it to an open rearguard circle. So yeah, basically helps you fill the field up, and it's on hit pressure. So the opponent typically is going to guard this whenever possible, but it's nice to have that sort of pressure aspect. So yeah, 2 copies of Escred. And then next we have a couple of one-offs. I play 1 copy of Liberator Star Rain Trumpeter. Pretty cool. So when this unit is placed on rearguard, if you have a Gold Paladin Vanguard, you may pay the cost. Choose a card named Blaster Blade Liberator from your drop zone or your soul, and put it to the top of your deck. And if you do, shuffle your deck, look at the top card of your deck, and then search for a Gold Paladin. And then choose one. Obviously, it's only going to be the one. It's very weird. Like the old card text back then, it was like, look at the top card and search for one. It's like, there's only one card here. What am I looking for? So yeah, look at the top card. If it's a Gold Paladin, call it to rearguard, open rearguard, and then put the rest at the bottom, which, yeah, weird text, but yeah, it basically just recycled your Blaster Blade, essentially, and yeah, it just gave you a free call from the top of the deck. So the cost is technically to put Blaster Blade back into the deck, but then you get a free call after that, which is pretty nice. But yeah, I just wanted to play one of it, just to have that recycle ability for Blaster Blade. And we have the one copy of Liberator of Silence Galatine. You've got to play Galatine. It's an Aichi deck, you know? I can't not put one of him in the deck. And this is what I mean. I want to play like a variety of units that Aichi used in the anime. So we have Galatine here. Very cool artwork as well. He came from the trial deck too. So one copy of him. So moving on to the grade 1s. So first off, we have Little Liberator Maron. So, of course, another Aichi card, Maron. When it attacks a Vanguard, if you have a Vanguard with Liberator in the card name, this unit gets 3,000 power till the end of the battle. So it's basically just a smaller version of Fallon, essentially, but the grade 1 version. But yeah, 10k attackers are always just decent to have. You can still attack the Vanguard on the grade 2 game with these units, so they're just nice to have. Just put 3 in now, because I'm trying to make room for other stuff in the deck. So next, for the grade 1s, we have 2 copies of the good boy himself, Barkle Liberator. So yeah, he's another card that works with Blaster Blade Liberator. When an attack hits a Vanguard during the battle that this unit boosted, Blaster Blade Liberator, look at the top 3 cards of your deck, search up the 1 card with Liberator in the card name from among them, and then call it to a rearguard circle as Rest. And then put the rest of the cards at the bottom of your deck in any order. So yeah, just a fun card to play with Blaster Blade. Just wanted to play 2 of them. You know, it's Barkle. You know, Barkle returned, and you know, he wasn't banned. But yeah, jokes out of the way. I just wanted to play 2 Barkle just because he's, again, one of those iconic units that came back into the Gold Paladins. But yeah, it's also another reason why I'm playing the 4 Blaster Blade, because Barkle works with them as well. And then speaking of stuff that works with Blaster Blade, we have 2 copies of White Rainbow Liberator Balan. So he was the countercharger. I don't actually remember seeing this card being used by Aichi, but I still wanted to play it regardless because it's just generally a nice card to play. So when your Blaster Blade Liberator is placed on rearguard, if you have a Vanguard with Liberator in the card name, choose a card from your damage zone and turn it face up. Countercharge. You know, these long-winded card effects. They simplified it, you know, in the future, but yeah, basically just countercharge if you call Blaster Blade to the rearguard whilst he's on the field. So yeah, 2 copies of him, just to give you some countercharging options there. And also another card that works with Blaster Blade. And then finally, we have 2 copies of Mayrain Liberator Bruno. So a lot of Gold Paladin fans will probably remember Bruno. And basically, whenever you call a Gold Paladin from your deck that's placed on rearguard circle, if you have a Vanguard with Liberator in the card name, it gets 3,000 power. So yeah, and this stacks. So if you call loads of units from your deck, he gets really big. And he can boost for huge numbers. So he's very, very cool to play with something like Garma or the Alfred, Monarch Alfred. So he's very nice to play. So 2 copies of Bruno. And finally, for the grade 1, well, not finally, we have the perfect cards to go through next. We have 1 copy of Future Liberator Lou. So yeah, Lou was basically the Vanguard booster, essentially. So when he boosts a Gold Paladin Vanguard, if there are 3 or more other rearguards of Liberator in the card name, the boosted unit gets an additional 4,000 power until the end of that battle. So yeah, stick him behind your Vanguard, and you've got a 10k booster ready and waiting. So very, very nice. And yeah, Lou was also a classic unit of Aichi's, so we had to play 1 of him. Ignore the glare there, I can't really do much about that, unfortunately. But it shouldn't be too bad. So, we have the Sentinels, the perfect guards. We have 3 copies of Halo Liberator Mark. Again, colours, artwork, I just love them. It's one of the things about this deck I like, is that they just look great. Just generally speaking, the cards look awesome. And yeah, we're playing 3 copies of Mark. He was one of the original Gold Paladins. And you're probably wondering why I'm only running 3. Well, the reason for that, I'll just put Mark there. The reason for it is because we're playing 1 copy of the Quintet Wall. And for those that don't know what a Quintet Wall is, I shall do a bit of a zoom in, just so you can see it. There we go. So Sword Formation Liberator Igraine. So basically this is sort of a different take on a Sentinel where you could counterblast 1 to call units from the top of your deck. And then those units would basically be your guard fodder. So yeah, you basically could kind of nullify something with one card and a counterblast, instead of using the 2 normal cards for the regular perfect guard. But it was risky, because of course you could just call a bunch of grade 3s and get no shield value out of it. So yeah, it was a bit risky, and typically speaking you wouldn't see Liberator decks play the Quintet wall, because you generally wanted to hold on to your units as much as possible. But I felt like just playing one of it in the deck anyway, since it did bring itself into the game during the Break Right era, and yeah, I felt like one of it is just fun. So there you go. Now, speaking of fun, let's talk about the starter. So the starter I am currently playing, and I say it currently with a grain of salt, is 1 copy of Wingull Liberator. So Wingull Liberator, what he does is that when he boosts when an attack hits a Vanguard, during the battle that he boosts a unit with Liberator in the card name, you may pay the cost. Put him into the soul. And if you do, you choose a card named Blasterbird Liberator from your soul and then call it to an open rearguard circle. So yeah, you can kind of see an issue with that, can't you? Because first of all, you've got to have Blasterblade in the soul, so you need to preferably ride him. You then need to boost the Liberator, which isn't a problem, but the problem is that it needs to hit. And then you need to have an open rearguard circle. So not only do you need to get the attack the hit, but then you need to have an open rearguard circle to actually call the Blasterblade to as well. So it's like you kind of didn't want to fill your entire field at that point. So you can kind of understand why I'm a bit touch and go with Wingull Liberator. And what I would do is I would actually replace him with Liberator Cheer Up Trumpeter, which is a little bit more fun, because what this card does is says you can put this card into the soul, basically to give your Vanguard an ability, which says that your Vanguard gets 3,000 power whenever you call a Gold Paladin from your deck to the rearguard circle. So you can imagine a card like this, in combination with something like Garmor, or something like Monarch Alfred, where you're calling a ton of units from your deck, your Vanguard's going to get a lot of power. So yeah, and it doesn't have the unfortunate clause of Wingull, where it's basically just stuck in the field until it gets its effect off. You can just put this into the soul whenever you want to, and then, you know, if you have an awkward situation where you've got your Vanguard booster Lou ready, but then Wingull's still on the field being annoying and not getting his effect off, you know, it's not his fault, you know, it's the opponent blocking the attack. Yeah, I know, but you know, but I do prefer running this sometimes over Wingull, but at the same time, I kind of like having Wingull on the deck just because it's Wingull, you know, it's one of Aichi's cards, and it's fun, you know. And I won't say I never get the effect off. Sometimes I do, and it's enjoyable, but majority of the time he's just stuck in the field because he never gets the attack to hit. But there you go. But yeah, Cheer Up Trumpeter, he's a nice alternative starter that you can play instead. And honestly, I tend to play that a bit more often than Wingull. But hey, Wingull's in the deck regardless because he's Wingull. So, moving on with the trigger units, because we're already in the grade zeros, we have 4 copies of Liberator of Hope Eplenet. Wow, that is a terrible glare. Let me try to fix that. Where can I put them? We shall put it over here. That should be okay. Yes, we have 4 copies of Eplenet. Eplenet returned as a Gold Paladin Liberator, which is cool. And we, of course, have Flogel, which is the standard trigger. And yeah, I felt like just playing rainbow triggers because we also have the 4 copies of Gwydion, which I shall put on top of Eplenet because we have a glare issue there. So 4 copies of Gwydion there. In fact, I'll tuck that down a little bit just so you can see Eplenet. There we go. So yeah, 4 copies of Gwydion. So 4 draw triggers. Gwydion was one of the old Gold Paladins from the Ezel deck. And they have the 4 copies of Elixir Liberator, which, okay, to be fair, I kind of want to move these up a little bit because I want to show off Elixir Liberator's artwork. So there we go. Now, Elixir Liberator. This is probably my favourite artwork for a heal trigger in the game, full stop. When we moved on from Elixir Similia from the Gold Paladin deck with Ezel and Garmor, I didn't particularly like that trigger that much. I mean, it was okay, but I wasn't, you know, buzzing about it. I was like, it looks alright. But then we got this one for Liberators, and the colours just are amazing on it. The art just pops so well. And I couldn't have been happier with this card as a heal trigger. If anything, it made me happier to play this deck, because, yeah, it's the one thing I love about it, is that the colours and the artwork of this deck are just beyond amazing. I just love it. So yeah, there you go, guys. That is my Liberator deck from 2013. So I hope you guys enjoyed this one because, yeah, like I said, this is my favorite era of Vanguard. A lot of good memories with this with my friends. And I want to pass the question on over to you guys, is what memories of the Break Ride era do you have? And maybe talk a little bit about the meta scene as well, because I'm actually not too familiar with the old school formats in terms of the competitive scenes. So if you've got any things to share about that, I'm more than open to hear about them. I find them quite interesting. But yeah, what decks were you guys playing? And what memories do you have of the past with Break Ride? So yeah, tell me about that in the comment section below. The next one we'll be doing is looking at my classic Gold Paladin deck with Ezel and Garmor. So we shall be looking at that soon on the channel. So guys, like always, I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Look forward to the next one, and we do have one more following the classic Gold Paladins as well, which I'm also looking forward to showing you that as well, which you might already know if you watched the mail opening. So yeah, thank you guys very much for watching, and like always, take care guys, and have a nice day. So see you later guys, bye.